Hello. Today we'll be discussing three questions regarding the victorious will, the legacy and lessons, and trading. Question number 10. Lt Gen Harbaksh Singh presents his philosophy of military command under the concept of victorious will. Critically examine his advocacy of audacity over caution, his critique of the conventional training, and his blueprint for reorienting officers' preparation. In your view, how can his ideas be applied to shaping leadership for the modern conflicts marked by uncertainty, hybrid threats, and the technological disruptions? Lieutenant Harbaksh Singh's the appendix in his biography, Victorious Will, is more than a personal reflection. It's a treatise on the philosophy of military command, centered on the belief that audacity and inspired leadership often decide the fate of the battles. He critiques risk averse training and offers a blueprint to instill boldness and initiative in officers. His ideas, though rooted in the mid 20th century, retain enduring relevance for today's complex and hybrid battlefield. Harbaksh Singh's central thesis is that victory goes to the audacious. He quotes Marshal Foch, "My center has broken, my right is collapsing, the situation is excellent, I attack," to show that the seizing fleeting opportunities is decisive. He contrasts audacity with the rigid slow plodder who achieves success only at prohibitive cost, citing examples such as the Napoleon's lethargy after Ligny and India's missed chances in 1965 when the enemy was reeling, but the knockout blow came too late. He stresses that hesitation in battle squanders opportunities. For him, audacity must not be reckless, but a blend of boldness with cool, calculating mind. Conventional training. Harbaksh Singh is unsparing in his criticism of stereotype training. Overemphasis on the rigid doctrine created risk averse officers who preferred to play safer than improvise. Over detailed intelligence in exercises conditioned officers to expect clarity, whereas real war offers only the fog of uncertainty. Syndicate type problem solving erodes individual initiative, creating officers who looked upward for guidance instead of acting independently. So, this, he argued, bred mental timidity, tantamount to the cowardice in war. He proposed a radical reorientation of training, encourage calculated risk in the exercise, rewarding bold solutions, even if they deviate from the doctrine, foster independent action by reducing groupthink solutions, and forcing junior leaders to decide under pressure. Emphasize action over inaction. Any action is better than listless waiting. Simulate fog of war with failure of communication, disrupted logistics, and ambiguous intelligence. Finally, he stressed that stamina, grit, and determination in the climax of the battle matter as much as the tactical brilliance. Relevant to the modern conflict. Today's conflicts, that is, hybrid warfare, counterinsurgency, cyber disruption, and high technological battlefield environments, echo the very uncertainties Harbaksh Singh described. His philosophy offers three enduring lessons. Initiative in ambiguity. Commanders in modern war must act decisively amidst information overload, cyber deception, and AI driven fog of war. Audacity in hybrid operation. Against insurgents or the gray zone competition, bold and proactive actions often seize the initiative, whereas excessive caution allows the adversary to dictate terms. Reform training ethos. Today's officer education must blend simulation, wargaming, and red teaming to build leaders comfortable with uncertainty. Harbaksh Singh's call to weed out the hesitant resonates with the demand for leaders ready for fast paced, multi domain operations. So, to conclude, we can say Harbaksh Singh's victorious will remains a timeless reminder that the essential of command lies in audacity, moral courage, and resilience. While technology has transformed the battlefield, the human factor, leadership under pressure, decisiveness amidst uncertainty, and the will to act boldly remains decisive. His critique of the rigid training and his blueprint for cultivating initiative remains shaping for shaping the Indian Army's future leadership in an era of hybrid threats and disruptive technology. Now we moved on to the next question, question number 11. In the later chapters of the autobiography, Harbaksh Singh is reflective about his career and India's war. What enduring lessons for the high command, leadership, and military professionalism can be drawn from his post 1965 reflections, and how are these still relevant to the Indian Army today? Lt Gen Harbaksh Singh, one of India's most distinguished field commanders, left behind more than a personal memoir in the line of duty. The later chapters of his autobiography are reflective analysis of India's military experience, particularly after 1965 conflict. He examined the failures of 1962, the resilience of 1965, and the institutional weakness that remained. His observations provide enduring lessons in higher command, leadership, and military professionalism that remain relevant to Indian Army even today. So first is the lessons for the higher command. Harbaksh Singh's foremost lesson was the necessity of synergy between the political authority and the professional military advice. In 1962, political interference and the sidelining of the field commanders had disastrous results. In 1965, when military judgment was allowed greater space, the army restored its credibility. He argued for institutional high defense structures, integrated planning, jointness, and respect for the professional outputs. He also emphasized the importance of clarity in objectives. Political and military leaders must define achievable aims. Otherwise, operational plans risk being unrealistic. For him, higher command was not only about winning battles but also ensuring that military action was aligned with the nation's political and strategic goals. Lessons on leadership. Harbaksh Singh repeatedly underscores the leadership is the bedrock of the victory. His post 1965 reflections highlight three aspects. Moral courage. He valued the ability of commanders to speak truth to the power and resist unsound directives. His own refusal to go all out in the Chamb area and instead go across the Ivy in Punjab is an example. Leaders must be seen with their troops, sharing dangers and the hardship. For Harbaksh Singh, an unseen commander could never inspire confidence in the battlefield. Fairness and recognition. He was critical of the instances where higher command failed to acknowledge the sacrifice of the junior leaders and the soldiers. He believed good leadership required recognition and justice, as these sustain morale for more than the material rewards. Lessons on the military professionalism. His reflections emphasize that military professionalism lay in rigorous training, discipline, and preparedness. He cautioned against complacency, pointing to 1962 as a lesson in neglect. Training, he argued, should be realistic, field oriented, and designed to prepare leaders for decision making under stress. He also stressed the importance of keeping the army a political and merit based. Officers seeking the advancement through political favor rather than professional merit weakened the ethos of the army. For him, professionalism was inseparable from the integrity and meritocracy. So, contemporary relevance, Harbaksh Singh's reflections resonate with today's challenges. Hybrid warfare and the border standoff demand the integration of political direction and professional military judgment, just as he advocated. Leadership, visibility, and moral courage are vital in the counterinsurgency and the high altitude operation, where junior commanders must seek quick, independent decisions. His emphasis on a political professionalism is critical for preserving the Army's credibility in complex domestic and international environment. To conclude, we can say the later chapters of the book In Line of Duty are not merely personal instructions but a handbook on the command philosophy. Harbaksh Singh's enduring lessons, civil military synergy, moral courage in leadership, fairness in recognition, and uncompromising professionalism remain as relevant today as they were in 1960s. His life reminds us that weapons and plans matter, but it is the character of higher command and the professionalism of leaders that ultimately decide the fate of armies. Question number 12. Give details of General Harbaksh Singh's idea of training the leadership in army. His first idea is leadership is not born, it is trained and hardened in the field. Harbaksh Singh firmly believed that the leadership qualities are not preserved of a few gifted individuals, but can and must be cultivated through training, exposure, and experience. According to him, discipline, resilience, and decisiveness emerge from the continuous training under stress conditions that mirror battlefield realities. Realistic and practical training. He was critical of the ceremonial soldiering and stressed field oriented training that prepared officers and men for actual war. He argued for exercises in difficult terrain, harsh climates, and adverse logistical conditions so that leaders had understood the realities of the command. Leadership, in his view, was tested when equipment failed, supplies ran short, and men's morale wavered. Hence, training has had to replicate such pressures. Training in decision making and initiative. Harbaksh Singh highlighted that junior leaders must be trained to take independent decisions rather than wait for orders from above. In 1962 war had shown the dangers of the rigid top-heavy command structures. In contrast, during 1965, he encouraged brigade and battalion commanders to exercise initiative in fluid situations. His idea of training therefore included war games, map exercises, and TEWTs designed to test initiative, and tactical exercises without troops designed to test initiative and judgment. Moral courage as a core of leadership training. He emphasized that leadership training must instill moral courage, the ability to stand up for what is right, even against superior authority. Officers, he argued, should be taught early in their careers that blind obedience is not leadership. To courage to speak the truth and take responsibility is leading by example. Training of leaders for Harbaksh Singh was incomplete without the principle of leading from front. He expected officers to share hardships with their men, live in the same conditions, and never demand what they could not do themselves. He was convinced that young officers must be groomed to understand that visibility inspires confidence. Technical knowledge and the human factor. While stressing technical and tactical proficiency, Harbaksh Singh also believed that leadership training must focus on understanding soldiers, their psychology, morale, welfare, and the motivation. A good leader, he argued, must not only know how to employ weapons and formations, but also how to inspire ordinary men to extraordinary feats. Training as a continuous process. Harbaksh Singh rejected the notion that the leadership training ended at the academy. For him, every posting, every exercise, every war was a classroom. Senior commanders had the duty to mentor subordinates by delegating responsibility, offering constructive criticism, and exposing them to the burden of the command. To conclude, Harbaksh Singh's vision of training leadership in the army was comprehensive, combined rigorous practical preparations with the moral courage, encourage initiative and decision making, and root leadership in example, empathy, and responsibility. His ideas remain deeply relevant today when even Indian Army faces not just conventional wars but also counterinsurgency, hybrid and technology-driven challenges. For Harbaksh Singh, the essence of leadership training was simple yet profound. Prepare the officer to inspire men in the most adverse conditions, and victory will follow. With this, we have come to the end of this session. Thank you.